Yeah, yeah, thank you very much. So the question is, what is the role of government, and sort of where does innovation come from? So as I travel around the world, I would tend to say, from a technology perspective, around 97% of all of the most interesting technologies, the things that you can look at a technology and say, if I take that and I combine it with that, I have something game-changing, comes from universities. So on the one hand, this is where we talk about university grants and funding and all that kind of stuff. But ultimately what happens is this is where you now need that ecosystem. So I see it as, you can say it's the government's role to provide the ecosystem, but increasingly private sector steps in. So this is where at the base of the pyramid, you kind of have all of the universities doing lots of interesting things. And these universities come up and say, I've created a new technology or a new thing, and it's amazing. Above that, you have the multinational organizations, the the innovation accelerators, and the entrepreneur communities who look at these and say, okay, if I take, so I know that there's this problem over here as an entrepreneur that needs solving. So if I take these three technologies and I put them together to create this product, I've got something interesting. So on the one hand, the skill and the principal role that government can play basically is in helping streamline the integration of these new technologies together, because it isn't easy. You know, if I said, for example, take artificial intelligence and merge it with quantum computing, we have quantum AI. As a vision, that's easy. Quantum artificial intelligence is the future of stuff. But then we get into the how do I do that? How does this stuff work together? You know, if we look at polymers, basically with molecular machines, we can see how we could create molecular machines and molecular computers, but again, it comes down to how. And then it's, how do I do it? Who does it? What are the experts? What are the skills that we actually need? That's your ecosystem. You sort of strap training and skills onto the side of that, but fundamentally, the government's role should be to foster the innovation ecosystem that allows all of these different organizations access to these individual sort of sets of IP, but also helps streamline the process of putting them together, supports them. So one of the biggest issues that a lot of startups have is regulation. I've created a fantastic product. I think it's going to solve, world hunger or whatever it happens to be, and then all of a sudden the regulator says no. So increasingly, what I would always suggest is the regulators play a front and center role in all of these ecosystems. Greasing the wheels. In terms of also things like taxation, getting a government's role basically is. The government's role should also be to make sure that it's an attractive place or an attractive environment, basically, for creatives, shall we say, and for experimentation and all that sort of stuff. But in addition to that, I also see it as the government's role to go out to its people and say, look, let's get you excited about what you can do. When you speak to people, the people that are, whether they're sweeping the floors, whether they are building the buildings and everything, everyone in this room basically has a huge amount of potential, just like everybody out there. So how do we harness all of the potential? If you walked around and had conversations with all of the citizens within the local area and said, have you got a good idea? They'll sort of say, well, I don't know if I've got a good idea. Or say, well, what doesn't work today? Flip it on its head. Most people find it difficult to be innovative. So if you don't know what the next big thing is, flip it on its head. Get the world interested and excited about the possibilities of being here. Get the citizens excited about what they can do here. And then, as I say, provide the right innovation ecosystem. So I think overall, so again, depends on timeframes, but overall I think there are predominantly 4 sectors. On the manufacturing side of things, advanced manufacturing. And again, I'll cludge these together because it's not one thing, it's a combination of things. Advanced manufacturing, the reason for that is because everything needs manufacturing, whether it's a carpet, basically, or whether it's a space rocket. The second one is, we'll call it synthetic biology, but it's a little bit more than that. Shall we say, tearing down, basically, and finding new ways to use the code of life. whether it is in biomanufacturing for human hearts and stem cells, or whether it's basically to create new foods, or even to create new biomaterials. We have, for example, using biomanufacturing, we can now 3D print leather. So all of a sudden, just one innovation there disrupts the multi-billion-dollar leather industry. The other one is blockchain, but on the blockchain side, slightly careful, because we now have minerless blockchains that use proof of authority, because blockchain itself, as you might know, uses up a huge amount of energy, and it's, you know, we sort of do lots of interesting things, but argument's sake, kill the planet. That's probably not a good place to be. Yeah. And then the other one is got to be artificial intelligence, but it's got to be artificial intelligence used responsibly and controlled. And again, this is sort of one of the opportunities I see, basically for Abu Dhabi, as a center to have conversations about the ethics and the morals, basically, of some of these technologies. Because there are plenty of governments, there are plenty of multinationals and organizations everywhere around the world. You just throw a stone, and yeah, they'll say, yes, we're doing something. You go, yes, but is that the right thing to do? Do you know what you're unleashing? And they sort of go, no, not really, but you know, when it goes wrong, we'll find out and have a conversation about it then. You know, there are very, very, very few places on Earth that are actually having viable conversations about, you know, what could we do with this? There was a doomsday project over in the US recently, last year. They got 400 experts together and they said, think of ways to destroy the world. Yeah, we'll give you about half an hour. And everyone came up with thousands of ways to destroy the world. And they were like, fantastic, okay, great, you're all science fiction buffs, you could write a book on this stuff. Now, basically, we're going to give you the same challenge, but find ways to save the world. And guess what? No. They said, destroying the world, easy. Saving the world, different hand. And yeah, when you have a look at sustainability and all these sorts of things, there is such an opportunity. Everyone sort of focuses on AI, but if you have a look at the things that matter to humans, you know, feeding the population, sustainability, all this sort of stuff, not only is there a business benefit there, but there's actually social good. And it pulls in all of this stuff. But in answer to your question, those are kind of the 4 areas.
All right, so we'll take one more question, and then we'll resume with the panel discussion. So, Naya?
Yeah. Good question. So when we look at the future of education, there's 2 trains of thought. So on the one hand, what do we teach ourselves and our children? Because it's not just about children. There are plenty of people who are still in work saying, you know, whose skills basically are becoming semi-redundant. So education is always about lifelong learning, for a start. So on the one hand, there's what should we be teaching? But secondly, education has got to be linked to the reality that fundamentally we are putting our children into an education system for, say, 15 to 20 years so that they can become independent adults. So they can then earn money for 40 years. So my youngest is 4 years old. Yeah, she will be, to put it into perspective, she will be retiring in about the year 2080. If this is what we're doing now, what do you think life's going to be like in 2050, 2060? So there's the issue basically of what do we teach our children today? And then you have soft skills and you have the hard technical skills. How do we then keep children employed? Because we are still living in capitalist economies, we need money. And unless that goes away, if money goes away, education completely changes. There's also the conversation to be had, well, in 10 or 20 years, when artificial intelligence gets so good, say, for example, these personal digital assistants with Siri, do we even need education? Because if we have access to expertise on tap in 20 years, where, you know, I say to you, right, could you put me together a contract about this, or can you help me fabricate this new product? Or, you know, what do we think the reaction of this organic compound is going to be when we expose it to X? if increasingly artificial intelligence is taking more of this cognitive load, and I just go, okay, so I combine nitrogen with oxygen and, in 2 parts, and what chemical will that create? And it goes X. Do we need education? So education is this kind of amorphous thing, which is why a lot of people sort of talk about soft skills. You've got to be adaptable. As individual careers dead end, you need to be able to move into other careers at speed. But you also need the right societal and right cultural constructs, because, say, for example, you're a farmer and you were made redundant, but you're now a data scientist. Can you imagine going up to Microsoft up the road and saying, I used to be a farmer, I'm now a data scientist, I'd like a job? What do you think Microsoft are going to say? They're going to go, fantastic, it's great that you used to be a farmer, we're actually looking for people who trained to be data scientists throughout university. So you have a cultural problem, which then means that from a cultural perspective, again, government role, now says to Microsoft, well, look, if we do have jobs that are dead-ending, and you take on someone whose job has dead-ended, we will give you a tax credit, or we will help you, or we will, do something for you. So education, increasingly from a child's perspective, they're going to have access to expertise that none of us have got today. They're going to have to be adaptable, they're going to have to be agile, entrepreneurship, they're going to have to be able to think on their feet. It is not going to be easy. If you go onto LinkedIn today, for example, how many profiles do you see where people go, I've been working in this job for 3 years, and then I left, and then I worked here, and then I worked here, and then I worked here. If you speak to current generations about jobs for life, particularly in Europe and the US, that idea went away basically a couple of generations ago. So then do we start talking about things like gig economy? Education itself is a relatively straightforward topic to solve. But as long as it is always tied to in 2060, my daughter will need to earn a wage of £50,000 in order to afford her house, her food, her car, whatever it happens to be, that's the problem that we have. Because today we are training children to be specialists. And if you're a specialist in a career that's dead-ending, you've got nowhere to go. Hence, general specialists. Does that answer the question? Sorry.
Okay, so thank you, Matthew. والآن بننتقل إلى الجلسة الحوارية. Matthew, please. Matthew بيكون هو مدير الجلسة.
Right, thank you. Hello, everybody. How are you?
Hello.
Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you, Matthew.
Nice to meet you. Okay. Nice to meet you. Hello again. Hello. Right. What we have is, if I give you one of those. Oh, you've already got those. See, I didn't see that. I'll take that back. Thank you, Hadi. Right. So, would you guys like to just introduce yourselves, just briefly?
Sure. I'm Hadi Uwaida, Vice President, Strategy and Excellence in Abuظبي Ports.
Okay, I'm Manal Al-Dosari, Acting Executive Director of Strategy Affairs Sector and Department of Education and Knowledge.
Thank you.
Dr. Engineer Nasser Al-Saadi, Head of Change and Development, AI Consultant of Abuظبي Police.
عيسى الحوسني, أبوظبي Port Control Authority, OD Section Manager.
Assalamu alaikum. Salam bin Shabib from Department of Economic Development, and I manage innovation and patents.
Excellent. Thank you very much. So, I suppose, Hadi, first question to you. How prepared do you think you are for the future?
Well, we'd like to think we are. Actually, our mandate requires that we are prepared for the future. As you know, ports are the entry point for most of the goods that are consumed in the country or exported. Ports take 4 or 5 years at least to build. We also manage a major industrial zone that we've developed it from scratch. So that needed to be aligned with the vision of the country where Abuظbي wants to be 20, 30 years from now, where when we started to develop it. Zayed Port, for example, that was built in 1972, served the Emirates till the end of 2012. By that time, it had reached full capacity. And that's when we actually launched Khalifa Port, one of the largest projects, which is, at the time, was 3 times the capacity of Zayed Port. Now we have plans to take it to quadruple that capacity again. Why? Because it meets the future needs of the Emirate. So it is not a choice. We need to be ready. We need to understand where the Emirate is heading, what kind of society requirements will be there, demographic growth, what kind of economic sectors will be attracted, the import raw material or products for distribution or use ports to export, what kind of industries the Emirate is looking at, attracting to diversify its economy, whether it's the metals industry or the polymers industry, and we need to build the right infrastructure and ensure that they have all the facilities, all the utilities where they can thrive, be competitive, and add back to the economy.
Thank you very much. Same question to you.
Well, it's quite hard, definitely, as education, and you came across that. But education is the driver force for any country's development and definitely economic growth. So, as my colleague said, it's a must, it's not a choice. So we have to align with government directions. We have to align with economic and social priorities. We have to align our programs and our education system with the labor market needs, so we can graduate a generation that are really equipped and ready to go and explore business world, and even maybe be entrepreneurs and run their own businesses. So definitely the education landscape is very complex. We are responsible for education from early childhood to higher education. We're talking about more than 470 students. We're talking about more than 46,000 faculty and staff. So the landscape is complex, and also talking about who's operating education sector now, right now. So definitely they have a say and influence on whatever you try to drive and put in place as strategy.
Thank you very much. And yes.
Basically, let's hope we don't see 500,000 weapon printed out, like 3D printed out. So definitely we have to get these signals, we have to get these patterns and analyze them. In Abu Dhabi Police, we are well prepared for the future. We have a whole future plan, Abu Dhabi 2057, which is our long-term plan, where we have divided it into short, mid, and long-term. We have also a specialized department for foresighting, future foresighting and innovation. We have lots of specialized teams regarding artificial intelligence, regarding blockchain, different technologies, lots of well-skilled employees and teams who work regarding cybersecurity, different kind of crime. Let's face it, we have all kind of challenges now in different places around the world, and definitely we have to be well prepared for the future. So everything of that, we need to be prepared, well prepared, to be hopefully in front of the crime, you know. However, sometimes, as we can use some of these technologies for the human welfare, some other people use it for distraction. For example, the 3D printing, or for the autonomous cars and the others. Definitely we have to be well prepared. We prepare our crews to take care of these challenges. And definitely we are training our people and giving them the skills for that. I think specializing is super, it's really good. However, we need also to get more than one specializing per member.
Yeah. Thank you very much. So you have a great challenge. When you get ahead of crime, let us all know.
Let's hope so.
نحن جهاز أبوظبي الألقاب الغذائية، نعم مستعدين حق وجاهزين للمستقبل. عندنا مجموعة من القدرات والممكنات اللي تأهلنا إن شاء الله نكون قد طموحات القيادة عندنا في حكومة أبوظبي، الحكومة الاتحادية. اليوم نمتلك ولله الحمد 3 محطات بحثية معنية بالابتكار في مجالات العمل الرئيسية لجهاز أبوظبي للألقاب الغذائية، هي مجال الأمن الحيوي والسلامة الغذائية، بالإضافة إلى الاستدامة الزراعية. بالإضافة نحن معنيين بالإشراف على المنتدى العالمي للابتكارات الزراعية، واللي نشوف أفضل الابتكارات الزراعية على مستوى العالم. بالإضافة عندنا لجنة علمية من خبراء العالم في مجالات العمل الرئيسية للجهاز، واللي دائما نستشيرهم في أفضل وأحدث الدراسات العلمية الحديثة، فنكون احنا دائما على اطلاع في العلوم الحديثة. بالإضافة عدينا سنة 2017 دليل شامل عن وضع الجهاز في المستقبل لتحقيق الأهداف الحكومية، وحاليا أيضا عندنا استراتيجية قاعد نعدها خاصة باستشراف المستقبل والذكاء الاصطناعي.
Thank you very much.
السلام عليكم مرة ثانية. I'm very pleased to be here with you today. Our role in the Department of Economic Development is very well to leverage on the future economy. So we have specialized services provided to the inventors, innovators, universities who are in the R&D phase. We're linked with all of the research-based universities across UAE. We provide them with financial, legal aspects. We're also providing services for other governmental departments who have R&D capacity in terms of registering their R&D, reserving it, or commercializing it to somebody else. We work as well with major sectors who are trying to transform their current sectors into future sectors, i.e. ADNOC portfolio, IP portfolio. We work with them in creating ADNOC IP portfolio where they started creating 30 to 40 new IPs per year, and they have commercialized so many technologies globally. On the other hand, we work hand-to-hand with specific sectors who are determined into solving few challenges. So now we have the Department of Health with the Department of Economic Development alongside the Ministry of Economy. We have an open challenge platform. It's called TIP, Technology Innovation Pioneers. It's basically the ecosystem you've been describing, whereby we link everybody together. So it's open now. And we have 3 challenges in the healthcare. One is for the assistive technologies for people with determination, and one is for the child obesity, and a third one which I can't remember now. But it's open. Anybody can register, get training, and submit his proposal, whether it's an IP, prototype, or a startup that can solve the solution. And we have another platform for the enviro technologies. Single use of plastic is one of the challenges identified by the Environment Agency in Abu Dhabi, and we're promoting that. The ocean desalination issue, alongside a third challenge, which is regarding the air quality. And as well, the challenge platform is open. What we try to do here is bring local expertise with the international expertise. We're not here to promote somebody else's technologies to be bought in Abu Dhabi or UAE. We're trying to mix the R&D together, deploy the technology that is registered in UAE, created in Abu Dhabi, and up to the world to use it later on. So basically, in a nutshell, we have services, and we have proactive services, if I would summarize what I've said at the end. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you very much. I suppose one of the things that I see when I travel around the world is basically there's lots of innovation ecosystems. But inevitably, once you create something, a kind of jewel in the rough, basically within a particular country or city, inevitably some big multi-billion-dollar multinational comes in and says, we'll have that, thank you very much. And then there's no remedial effect basically around it at all. So, for example, if you have a look through some of the other cities, Israel's a very good example where they have a lot of organizations coming in just saying, right, we'll now turn you into our R&D center. But if those companies had been fostered and grown and scaled naturally within their country, they'd be providing local jobs for marketers, sales, all those sorts of things. Do you have a way to overcome that? So I suppose question to Salim, if that's all right.
You're talking To me?
Yeah.
Yeah. So you're talking about VC or acquisition?
Acquisition.
Acquisition of new startups?
Yes.
Okay. So there isn't a law banning acquisition of tech companies in the region. Basically, if you want to acquire Google or any tech company in US, that have to be approved by the ministries and maybe the Congress and maybe the president of USA. But here you can, acquisition is open up till now.
Yeah. Yeah. Thank you. So the only reason I raise that is because it's something I do see, because these companies do tend to have come in and literally strip innovation out of countries.
Of a region, yes.
Yeah, which is, is a future risk. So Hadi, the pace of change is accelerating. I mean, how are you keeping up? Or how do you try to keep up or ahead of it? Or
Many ways, actually. One, we need to stay aware of all the trends, all the changes that are happening within our industry, all the new technologies, developments, innovations that could be applied within our industry. We need to maintain a close relationship and dialogue with our customers, with our stakeholders, to understand what their needs are, because that's really what drives change. We also have our competition. We're a commercial entity, so we need to maintain our market share and grow it. Alhamdulillah, we've been doing a pretty good job in that. But the challenge is to maintain that and sustain it. So staying on top of things, knowing what new is out there, how it can be applied. More importantly, having the agility to really take it and create value out of it.
yeah,
And this is where the innovation department plays a good role, where we have some partnerships with academic institutions to take some ideas, to see how we can get some proper research done around them, to see how that can help. This is eventually things end up in a situation where we need to make a decision on, do we invest in that new technology or in that new service? And we have the ecosystem, the process around it that gives us the agility to quickly move, have a decision around it, and bring that value to life quicker.
yeah. Excellent. Thank you very much. And then Manal, I suppose basically you have quite a pertinent problem because you are educating people today using today's tools and theologies and everything else, but for a future that is not just quick now, but for a future that's even faster paced and quite fuzzy and unpredictable the further out that we go. So I'd imagine you have quite a challenge.
Exactly. So what we have done is we started with developing a solid strategic plan in place. So we looked at the ecosystem and environment around us. So what we have to deliver when it comes to economy, what we have to deliver when it comes to quality of education, what we have to deliver when it comes in innovation and knowledge and research and development. So defining a clear priorities, looking at what other education systems in the world focus on, this helps us define the pathways that we have to take in place in order to reach and achieve our objectives. We have also identified different alternatives and scenarios. So what if we need to be equipped with a certain skills for future? What if we need to develop a solid or national-wide R&D strategy? So that helped us being focused and being adaptive and flexible when it comes to being able to achieve future skills and future needs of the Emirate. So taking into consideration the different players, as I said earlier. So what we have done, we engaged them earlier in the process. So this helped us, all of us, work stronger together, collaboratively, and alignment as well. So whatever changes happened in the future, we are ready for it. I got their buy-in, I got their commitment. So definitely taking into consideration some challenges as well. So education reform takes time to see output and results and outcomes. So we have to also educate community. about what is expected from education and how this will impact the economy or the society of the Emirate of Abu Dhabi, and when they are expecting to see results. So this all help us in being adaptive and flexible with changes.
Yeah, thank you very much. And NASA, I suppose, quite a lot of challenges. The danger of the unknown almost.
Well, let's agree that change is difficult. Change is very hard. Adaptation is even harder. And we have lots of challenges. Some of them, they are internal. Some of them, they are external. As well as we have different challenges regarding security and policing. We have some other like political impacts. We have economical impacts. We have regulatory impacts, governmental impacts, and we have also technology impacts. So we have it all, at the same time. So whenever we have a new change, a new trend, a new security or policing matter, such as drones, we build up a team where this team we try to empower, we try to give it proper skills. We try to find the people, the people that will help us with that challenge. Try to find the R&Ds. We try to work with private. We work with governments. We work with also universities who are always familiar with these changes, familiar with these, let's call them, some of them, they are very weak signals, but they give us this ahead of a time, so we train our people. Also, we try to integrate between different departments within police, We try to give flavor between the IT people, technology people, as well as the operation people, the car patrols, and the others. So we try to optimize as much as we can from the different resources we have to face these challenges. And definitely, I definitely say change is difficult, but definitely we have an adaptive, modern change management programs that we always work with.
Yeah, thank you very much. And then, Asa, the same question for you.
أعتقد فعلياً في الوضع الراهن نحتاج إلى تمكين القطاع الخاص. اليوم القطاع الخاص يمتلك الموارد اللي عنده، والشركات العالمية معروفة، ويمكن قبل أسبوعين في القمة الحكومية الكل كان يتكلم ضرورة إشراك القطاع الخاص، ونحن أيضاً في أدفكا نركز على هالموضوع الأوتسورسينج لبعض السيرفيس عندنا، وتمكين القطاع الخاص لتقديم الخدمات للجهات الحكومية. أصبح القطاع الخاص شريك أساسي للعمل الحكومي.
Yeah, thank you very much. And then, Salam. How are you dealing with rapid change? Because is it something you think of every day? Is it top of agenda?
Yes. So change is rapid. Technologies are emerging, yet you rightly mentioned in the beginning, when I entered into the auditorium, we need to adopt what we can adopt, and we need to push government to release some of the regulations, to allow some of the technologies that would not harm our culture, our beliefs, and our most important things, which is humans. We are humans at the end of the day. So what we're trying to do now is to build sectorial movements. It's not about one entity doing the push. It's about an ecosystem talking to each other, understanding that an FDA is not something within the hands of the healthcare authority in UAE. It's something international. When you want to introduce a new technology for a surgency, it needs to be FDA'd. When you need to introduce a new medicine, it needs to be food, it needs to be FDA'd. Yeah. So these processes, the government should understand how they can get the FDA's approval, produce the technology, instead of consuming it. The education that we're trying to push in the heads of our children is, I wouldn't say it's more important than the education that we should put in our heads in understanding how innovation life cycle goes on. It's not something that you do to have a certificate in the office that you are an entity that have this sort of rating. It's your interaction with the university, your interaction with the laboratory, your interaction with a new person called techpreneur. It's not a normal entrepreneur. He's a techpreneur. So this guy, or people, or young person, is an agile company that's work day and night to do and solve a challenge. How can you as a government help him to get a contract? How can you as a government allow him to come to your database and test his methodology or test his application? How can you stop putting boxes around him to keep your operation safe and risk-free? We need to enter into risk. So what I think, and we are doing it in the Department of Economic Development and pushing as well many stakeholders to do, is to take risk, to allow risk to emerge from within the entity. I'd like to give as well a good example about the police, Abuظbي police. They have a high-end tech facility, and they have so many things, maybe not to be disclosed now, but they're ready to go to the market. We have so many proud moments that we're waiting to be declared soon, hopefully.
We look forward to it.
If you
So
may,
all of these things in your labs.
If I may add to that, we are lucky in this region. We're lucky in the UAE. We have exceptional leaders who always prepare us for change. They're always up to the moment. So, for example, if we talk about digitization, in 2000 we had the first digitization initiative that in 2013 we had the smart. 2015, full smart, now artificial intelligence. So we are getting there. We are always. I mean, like UAE is a very smart country, but hopefully what we will do, we'll take it from smart to smarter. And our leaders are just, and our government entities, our e-council and the other entities, they always push us forward.
I think we have also a full blockchain and transportation and Maqta gateway that you should be really proud of. It's a full chain. It's not one process. It's a full chain.
You're right. Well, this is it. So speaking of that, so that's quite a good jumping on point. So Hadi, what opportunities do you see for the future?
Well, the maritime trade businesses are really about moving stuff in and out quickly, cheaply. So technology naturally plays a critical role in that. We are seeing trends like autonomous vessels. The minute these are deployed, we need to be ready to deal with them. We're looking at things like Uber for trucks that maximizes the return on trucks. We've already deployed a lot of technologies, like Khalifa Port, for instance, is the first semi-automated port in the MENA region within even 3,000 miles radius. We have automated gates that allow trucks to get into the port, collect their container, and leave it within less than 20 minutes. So that efficiency is really value for the customers that will allow them to see Abu Dhabi as an attractive place to do business, that will enable the economy, that will deliver the diversification. So staying on top of all the trends, see what works for us, and deploying the right solution for the maritime trade industry are close on the radar for us.
But then also in the direction of your customers as well.
Absolutely.
The customer at the heart of everything.
Absolutely.
And then Manal, the same question for you. What opportunities do you see? Because
I'll talk about maybe two opportunities we currently see. It's making Abu Dhabi as education hub. So we're trying to attract the talents around the world and come to Abu Dhabi, study here, explore ideas, even implement few ideas that will improve education in the future. So at the same time, we are trying also to involve private sectors in the education system, running our public schools, for example, and we have already started and announced that. This will help in elevating the quality of education and helping really have a generation that are curious and trying to search for ideas and run after that. We are also helping building capabilities, so we have to make sure that we have the right caliber in place. So we launched several initiatives. One of them is Young Investigator Award, helping the new national generation looking after research and development and try to explore ideas and implement them.
Yeah, thank you very much. And NASA?
Definitely full of opportunities. We have all the opportunities. These are all opportunities we can use. Let's use for example, the drones to help other people, to help to investigate other, like if we have unfortunate disasters or if we have unfortunate accidents, let's use these drones, let's use these technologies, let's use the 3D printing, let's use artificial intelligence. We already have the predictive policing, let's use it. And definitely one thing I would definitely support is to work in groups, to try to integrate within government entities and all together. Let's use our strengths and put it together, and let's get with the one aim to go to get to the future. In the future, let's have the quantum computing in Abu Dhabi. Let's build it.
You've got one of those in your labs, have you? That's coming soon. And Asa, what about yourself?
أعتقد فعليا نحتاج اليوم توظيف التكنولوجيا والعلم اللي وصل فيها مجالات الأمن الحيوي، البايوسكيورتي.
Excellent, thank you very much. And Salam.
So the question is, what should we do for the future?
Well, what opportunities do you see?
Opportunities are something actually that we create. So if we put the right tools together, we create the opportunity. So that's my own perception about opportunities. Yeah. It's not something that you go and shop to. It's something you create.
Yeah. No, absolutely. And that's a very good point as well. Yeah. And I think last question, so rapid fire. So what do you see the main challenges being over the next, say, couple of years or?
Main challenge, well, internally, one of the biggest challenges we have is to not allow the day-to-day operations to stop us from looking outward and keeping pace with the changes and the trends. We are, at the end of the day, a service provider. We build infrastructure, deliver services that enable customers to trade, customers to set up their businesses in KZAD. And to do that, we need to be ready. We need to coordinate closely with all the government stakeholders to ensure we work together to deliver the value that our customers are looking for. So this is really the main challenge, how we always not only meeting the requirements and the needs of our customers, but hopefully exceeding them and keeping them happy so that they stick with Abu Dhabi and they deliver even greater value to the economy.
Well, thank you very much. And then Manal.
The key challenge is have the right education system in place to drive change, to drive innovation, to drive future of not only Emirate of Abu Dhabi, the UAE. So this is a big challenge that we are working on right now, and definitely we will see the impact soon.
Yeah, thank you very much. And then Nassar, we've got loads of time for all your challenges. I would imagine there's quite a number.
How to use these challenges? Or?
Well, what challenges do you see over the next couple of years, basically, in helping you?
I mean, like we have lots of, as we said, lots of opportunities. We can use these. I would say these challenges are always the one that create creativity, the one that create innovation. Let's use the innovations. We have lots of methodologies, we have lots of techniques where we can use these to eliminate these challenges. Definitely all of these are challenges, and we have different challenges. We have it every day, and like my colleague said, we have rapid change these days. Every time we are up to a technology, we have something new. We are talking about 6G while we haven't got the 5G till now, right? Yeah. So we need definitely to prepare for the future. We have 3D printing. We are preparing ourselves to 3D printing. All of a sudden, we have 4D printing out there. Yep. So it's very hard. Like as I said, change is very hard, but we need to adapt very, very quick and definitely empower our employers, empower our with lots of skills, lots of education courses, and let's get new skills as well. For example, if someone is very talented with HR or with economy or financial service and other stuff, let's get into the coding. Let's go to programming. You know, at least try to understand the frame of working, frame of thinking of these codes, and then definitely we'll get into the future with that.
Yeah, thank you very much. And Asa?
Can I add?
Yeah. Oh,
I think
is that
your
all
biggest
right?
challenge is to keep Abu Dhabi the safest city in the world.
That's a big challenge, and definitely that's
Because
what
it
we're
is the
trying.
safest city in the world today. Alhamdulillah.
I think عندنا تحديين مهمين في القمة الحكومية يتطرق لها معالي محمد القرقاوي. البيانات، جودة البيانات، من يمتلك البيانات اليوم يمتلك المستقبل. اثنين، سيدي صاحب الشيخ سيد بن زايد، التطوير. اليوم لازم نطور نفسنا خصوصا كفاءاتنا. العالم قاعد يتغير مثل ما شفنا، وهو تكلم ايضا ان الكفاءات اليوم لازم تتغير، فهذه اكبر تحديين نشوفه منها.
Okay,
Thank you very much.
Two levels on challenges. Within the organization, the main challenge is not being so flexible. So the lack of agility is disrupting to the entity itself. Outside, in the economy scale, we like challenges, actually. That's why we have a challenge platform launched. And challenges are opportunities if you know how to solve them. So that's how we see challenges.
Excellent. Thank you very much. So that's the panel, ladies and gentlemen. So a big round of applause for them. Thank you very much.